Good morning to you if you are in Eastern time. Good morning to you if you are in Pacific time. Good morning to you if you are in Mountain time. Good afternoon to you if you are in Africa. Good evening to you, some parts of Africa. Good evening to you in Europe. Good evening to you, those of you who are in Asia. My name is Dr. Enoch Opoku Enchi. And today, as I promised, we're going to talk about a very important topic, which is interviewing for your dream job. How to interview for your dream job. So this is the time for you to call your friends, share it with whoever you want to share with, because people do this as consultants and they charge huge money for it. I'm going to do it free because I know people are heading in this time and they need jobs. And the Greek word for job, which is vocation, is voice. The voice that you hear in your head of what you came to this world to do is what I'm going to talk about, your dream job. The same thing that I'm going to talk about is also in one of my books, Counting the Count in Business Consulting, Ideation of Top 40 Consultants. This is on page 64, Interviewing Skills, How to Interview for Your Dream Job. So this book is on Amazon for just $13.06. $13.06. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever your time zone is, wherever you find yourself. My name again is Enoch Opoku Enchi. And stay with me as we discuss how to interview for your dream job. CNN just did a footage 2 days ago saying that 52% of young adults are staying with their parents now because people have lost their jobs during this time. I indicated earlier, I think about 3 weeks ago, that we have about 14% unemployment rate in America, even though some of the jobs are being added onto it. Almost 50 million people lost their jobs through this virus. And when we come to Asia and Africa, it's worse, talking about unemployment. And we all know from economics that unemployment is a security issue. And that is why you need to look for your dream job and change the world that you find yourself. I'm going to start this way with Jim Stover. And Jim Stover, in his book, The Ultimate Gift, talk about 13 gifts of life. And one of the gifts is the gift of work. And Stover said that he who enjoys his work never labors. Anyone who enjoys his or her work, you never labors. When you enjoy the work you do, you wake up in the morning and then you keep smiling on your face and you go to work because you know that you are going to add value to the workplace and then change the world that you find yourself. So I want to start with the research from the Society of Professionals in Human Resources. And this has also been confirmed with the U.S. Department of Labor in 2018. They say that anytime you're looking for a job, you need to market yourself to be hired. Anytime you're looking for a job, you need to market yourself to be hired. And 5% of the jobs are on the internet. So anytime there's a job opening, 5% of that job is on the internet. I've already seen AK Mensah saying that, great job, Prof. Good evening to you, AK in Germany. I hope you're doing fine. So 5% of the job that we all find, according to the Society of Human Resources and the Department of Labor, they say that you can find that on the internet, Indeed, and newspapers and all those areas. That is 5%. Then you can also find 24% of that job on direct contact. 24% of jobs are through direct contact, company website, and then sometimes some people play golf and they meet other people who are CEOs and managers of organizations. They talk to them and boom, they get a job. Then 23% through employment agencies. 23% through employment agencies. We know agencies are doing well in Europe and America, talking about North America. But in Africa, agencies are still in their initial stages. So I know it's growing and very soon it's going to catch up with the rest of the world. Then this is the big one, 48% of people get jobs through networking or referrals or through word of mouth. You network through referrals and word of mouth, 48%. That means that if you pick any two people, one person will get a job through networking. So let's begin with networking, what it is and why it is so important. When we talk about networking, we are talking about two words, net and work. So you are working to connect yourself with somebody. That is networking. It's a work. And when you are networking, all that you're trying to do is to contribute your value to an organization. So don't be shy to network. You are trying to contribute your value to an organization. So networking is all about giving to people. And that means that you need to create your resume or your CV in a way that you can network with other people. You also need to join some networking sites. There are many networking sites that you can join. You can also look for opportunities to meet new people. So don't be always in the home. Look for opportunities to meet new people when you're looking for a job. You can also volunteer your time. Very huge. People who volunteer their time to serve communities will meet big people out there who are ready to hire them. And then attend trade association meetings. So in America here and in Europe, we have coffee tasting organizations, we have beer tasting, we have book clubs, and so forth. Some of these organizations you can join. And the more you join them out there, you can have the connection with other people who are hiring. Because remember, 48%, almost 50% of those who get that job through networking, you can be part of that. So let's talk about your resume or your CV. And when we talk about your resume or your CV, it's going to enhance your value. It's going to build your confidence with other people as you interact. It's going to open doors for you, and then it's going to help you to interview better. That is why you need to take some time to build your resume or your CV. It is very important. 3 top fixes of your resume or your CV. Your presentation should be very compelling, and then it should focus on results. It should be very compelling and should focus on results. So when you are writing your resume or your CV, avoid these words. I can do this. I want to. I need to. I require. All these words, avoid them. The words I want you to use is your achievement. Put them on your CV or your resume. And here I'm talking about words like reduced. So I reduced waste by 20%. We need the percentages there. I increased sales by 10%. I enhanced my team performance through A or B. And then I improved performance through an open door policies. So we need to see words like reduced, increased, enhanced, and improved. These are the words we want to see in your resume. Now, we all know that every resume should have a cover letter, which is very important. In the cover letter, you have to keep it very simple because it is just supporting your CV or your resume. And I want to give you a simple example of a cover letter. Dear Jane, I'm applying for a position as a manager with your firm and know that I can produce extraordinary results. I respect your time and know that your value, ability to contribute, and past achievements are well documented on my attached resume. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Enoch Entry. Very simple. But the cover letter is referring to the resume or your CV and the details of it. So remember, in your CV or your resume, you need to excite or engage the employer. Most of the research that I saw says that now any corporate job that you apply, about 50 people at least apply for the same job. So the ratio of you getting that job is 1:50. That means you are competing with 50 equally qualified people for the same job. And if that is your dream job, then my presentation, you are at the right place. You need to excite or engage the employer with your resume, because before they will call you for interview, guess who is speaking for you? Your resume and your cover letter. You can also send a hard copy to them, and then the cover letter should recap your resume or your CV. Let's quickly look at the purpose of interviewing, which is very paramount. Interviews allow both the employer or the potential employer and the job seeker to determine if there's a correct fit between them. So anytime you are interviewing, 2 things are happening here. The organization is looking for a fit, an individual who will fit into their purpose and vision. And you are also looking for a dream job that will fit into your purpose or vision. So two fit. And here most people make mistakes. Sometimes they apply for a job to that organization, they are a fit. But for you, you don't think that that organization is a fit for you. Don't go for it. I need you to go for your dream job with my presentation because it has perfectly worked. I've sat in many places interviewing people, I've hired people, and I know how this works. It's also in my book, it's published already. And I want to share with the world that this works. It's very experiential. It works very well when you're looking for your dream job. So the first impression matters a lot when you are looking for a job because it lasts. All the studies, cognitive studies have shown that it takes just 2 minutes for you to be hired. 2 minutes. As soon as you walk at the door, 2 minutes for the panelists to decide whether they're going to hire you or not. So your impression, the first impression really matters a lot when you need that dream job. Let's quickly talk about what the employers are looking for. The first thing they're looking for is, are you qualified for the job? The second thing is, are you a good fit for them? Are you qualified? Number one. Two, are you a good fit for them? And then they will determine whether they want to invite you back again for a second or third interview. Now let's come to the job seeker, you, what you should be looking for. You are looking for an opportunity to meet and connect with the prospective employer. So it's an opportunity for you to connect. Remember, I started with networking, to connect with them for the prospective employer. One thing that I've seen when I'm part of the panel interviewing for people is that everybody at the panel is thinking about this lady or this guy walking at the door. Can I sit with him or her at my office here or close to my office for the next 10 to 20 years? If the answer is no, they are not going to hire you. So you are looking for an opportunity to meet and connect with them. Find a way to connect with them so that they can say that, yes, I can sit with this person at my office or close to my office or next to my office for the next 10, 15, 20 years. That is where the hiring process begins, or there's the likability that they are going to hire you. Again, you need to sell your skills and abilities. That's what interviewing is all about. You are supposed to sell your skills and abilities. And then it helps you also to determine if you are a good fit for them. Let's begin with the process of the interview. 3 P's for interview: preparation, presentation, and post-interview follow-up. I repeat that again. The 3P process of interviewing: the preparation, the presentation, and then the post-interview follow-up. These 3 are very important. And the process begins when you begin to send your resume or your CV out for interviews. Let's begin with the preparation for the interview. First, you need to know yourself. You need to know your resume or your CV inside out. The reason why I am using resume or CV is that Americans call it resume. And then Europeans, most Europeans and those in Africa call it curriculum vitae, CV. So those words are the same for those of you who want to understand why I'm alternating the words. So preparation begins with knowing yourself, 1. 2, know your resume or your CV inside out. Be prepared to answer questions and then give examples. That is very important. And then you have to know your personal and professional goals when you are applying for the job. You also have to be very truthful in your resume. I know some people give inaccurate information on their resume. Don't do that because that is misleading. Eventually, when they hire you, they're going to find out, and guess what? They will kick you out. Don't do that. So at the interview room, you're going to sell yourself. There are 3 hurdles you need to clear before you can justify yourself at the interview room. The first one is that do not go to the interview so early. In fact, the rule of thumb is 15 minutes. You have to be there 15 minutes early, which is very important. Don't be there about 1 hour earlier. It means you are rushing them. You have to be there 15 minutes early. If you drove and you need to get a parking lot and all those things, you need to be there at least 20 minutes early, so that by 15 minutes you are there with the receptionist writing your name that you are there, and then they will begin to prepare for you for the interview. You begin with a firm handshake. I know this is Corona period, we don't handshake anymore. But during normal times, you need to begin with a firm handshake, a good eye contact, and then you smile. And whilst you smile, you introduce yourself. Pleased to meet you. My name is Enoch Opoku Enchi. That is what you have to do. A firm handshake, eye contact, a smile, and then you introduce yourself. Pleased to meet you. My name is Enoch Opoku Enchi. That is exactly what you have to do. Now, when they ask you a question, begin by stating that I started in 2012. I know that I've been in many African countries, and when you go to the parliament of most African countries, somebody can stand and talk for about 10 minutes. You know, in America and most places in Europe, if you're a congressman, you have just 2 minutes to make your point. Einstein said that if within 11 seconds you've not been able to explain what you do, then you don't know what you're doing. So be very summative. The way you summarize your words is very important if you want to catch the attention of those who are interviewing you. And then you can talk about, I started for the past 5 years. Most people who are hiring for dream jobs want to know about the past 5 years, what you've been able to achieve. So concentrate on the past 5 years, what you've been able to achieve. Couple of tips for you. Keep your answers under 1 minute. Every question that he asks you, keep your answers under 1 minute. Be very succinct with them, very brief, but very cogent with ideas. That is all they want to hear from you. And don't answer questions with questions. It's not going to help you to get your dream job. Be very clear, edible, and concise. And let's say they ask you a question, where do you want to be the next 5 years? Tell them, I want to be sitting at your seat as one of the managers. Very simple, but it makes sense. You also have to turn all your negative job experiences in the past into positive. I know some people, when they come for interview, they're going to talk about the bad experiences they had at their past places. Be careful about that, because if you do that, it's going to give a wrong signal to those who are interviewing that you are going to badmouth them when you also leave their job. So turn all your past negative experiences into positive when you are interviewing for a job. I have Ata Amankwa Isaac. Osofo says that good message, Prof. Thank you, Osofo. I'm trying to help consultants do this and they take money. I want to do this free for people because I know families are hurting. And what are we using money for? I keep saying that money is just a tool. It can be used for something good, something bad, or it can just lie idle. And I'm not about money. I'm about sharing knowledge and wisdom with people so that people can do well in life. I'm not a selfish person. I want everybody in this world to do well so that there will be peace in our neighborhoods. Why you get a job? If you want to get your dream job, you have to first dress professionally and conservatively. You need to dress very professionally like I have dressed. And then you need to be very conservative with your dressing. Leave all your style at the door and dress as the company requires. I know most of us are stylish. Most people want to be so overdoing. I will talk about makeup and what women have to wear and what men have to wear for interviews. So leave your own style at the door and then go very professional and very conservative. You also have to know your resume or your CV inside out and tell them about their company. Every company wants to know you have researched about them before you came for the interview. So make sure you do that. It's very important. And be very professional and prepared to answer questions. You also should ask for business card for a thank you note. Most people, when they finish the interview, they just pick up their bags and leave. They don't ask for the business card so that they will say thank you. It is very important. Do you know who brought the business card? People who invented business card, the Russians. Yes, that is just for your information. Remember, it takes just 2 minutes to get hired for a job, so you need to be careful about that. Kofi Owusu-Teria says that, thanks, Prof. Kofi, how are you in Ghana? I hope everybody is fine. Most employers know they're going to hire you within the first 2 minutes, so make sure you impress them the first 2 minutes. Very, very important. So let's do some group exercise. Those of you who have already joined me and those of you who have already contributed by making a comment. Think of a situation in your past. So let's say they ask you a question that think about a situation in the past, employment or schoolwork, that you address the following. Tell me what you're going to say. A good demonstration of teamwork, you have to tell them how you demonstrated in a teamwork. A good demonstration of customer service, which is very important now. I've seen many organizations in Ghana now and most African countries going for customer service as a topic. It is very important because our customer service have been very horrible and we need to improve on that. Then time things didn't go well as you planned, or time that you responded to a challenge of keeping your goals. These are some of the exercises that, or the likely questions that they will ask you when you go for your dream job. They might also ask you time you dealt with a change, or time that you solved a problem proactively, or time that you encountered a difficult customers, or made a mistake, and how did you overcome the mistake, or time that you ensured quality of work, or time that you dealt with conflict. These are some of the questions that they will ask you. Now let's start with the preparation. Because preparation is everything when you need your dream job. It is vital that you research about a company before you go there for the interview. And you also have to know the position's requirement, what they require for your position. One thing I've observed is that some people will get the same CV or resume, and they will just copy and paste it at different job places, the same thing. No, different jobs look for different categories of areas that they are emphasizing in looking for somebody to hire. So you need to tailor your resume or your CV to the requirement of that organization. Just a tweet or some words. It's okay for you to do that. Just don't get one resume and then send it to about 50 companies thinking that they're all going to hire you, because their job specifications are all different when they are hiring. So knowledge is power. You need to know about that company, and it's going to throw them to know that you've researched about them before you came for the interview. So you need to know about their general information, their mission, their vision, the length of time that they have been in office, know about the product or the services that they offer to the people, current issues or trends of new development that is going on at the workplace, their organizational structure is very important for you to know, and then their corporate culture. Some of these things should be at your fingertips before you go for that interview. And what are the sources that you can find this? Just the internet or the company's website. You can find some of these information. We have e-bulletin boards, we have blogs, we have Google searches, the libraries. You can find most of this information there. Now, Google is a verb. And when you Google any organization or you go to their website, you can find a lot of information that they do. And you can talk to them. Or you can even talk to current employees of that place. They will tell you inside information is going to help you to get that dream job. This is the big one. Everybody who is looking for a job should master what we call the elevator speech. The elevator speech. Elevator is a lift, you know, in England, and then in Africa, you call it a lift. But in America, we call it elevator. You need to master your elevator speech. Now, I will tell you what elevator speech is and then give you an example of it, because it is going to help you to give a brief account of who you are, because the best way to know a person is to ask that person to tell you about themselves. So anytime you go to interview, those of you who have interviewed a lot, I have interviewed a lot of people, hiring professors and, you know, people in other organizations, corporate America. I have sat in many panels and I know what these requirements are. And based on this experiential learning and talking to the professionals of human resources of Fortune 50 organizations, that is where I put all the information in my book, and I want to give that one free to my friends so that you can share with other people who are hurting, they've lost their jobs, and they're looking for their dream job. I know there's a lot of politics going on, but sometimes we need to find jobs because politicians might not be able to feed you. You need to find a job to feed your family. That is why this is important to me at this time. Now, in the elevator speech, you have to omit your personal information. We're talking about your education and then your professional experience. That is the only thing you need to do in your elevator speech. So let's say you've met somebody in an elevator or a lift. You have about a minute or two before you get to the number of floor that you are going. Let's say you are from the ground floor or the first floor and you are going to the third floor. And you meet somebody in that elevator or the lift. This is your elevator speech, something that you are going to pitch to them, so that within that 1 minute or two that you find yourself in the elevator with them, they will know who you are, your professional achievement. And if they are hiring, they're going to hire you. So I'm going to give you an example of a person, what you have to do. The elevator speech must give your goal, your experience that has prepared you to reach that goal, your education, and then your career progression or school projects. If you have never worked before, your school projects are okay to talk about. So I'm going to give you an example of a lady called Michelle who is giving an elevator speech. She meets somebody in the elevator or the lift, and the person asks her, "Tell me who you are." "Well, my name is Michelle. My interest is in human resources, and that started in college. I graduated cum laude, which is first class in Africa or England, in my class, and I graduated with a BSc in business administration with an emphasis in human resources. While in school, I completed 2 internships, one in recruitment and one in employee development. I have over 2 years experience in human resources, working in both the public and the private sector. I'm a human resource generalist by trade and thoroughly enjoyed employee relations and the strategic management aspect of the field. At this point, I'm looking for a challenge in my career, focusing on facilitating strategic partnership with senior leadership." Look at how beautiful this has been weaved together. Once you tell this person this in the elevator or the lift, that is your elevator speech. You need to practice this every time. Master it so that it becomes a second nature. And when you are going for a job, as soon as they ask you, "Tell me who you are," in a summary of a minute or two, you will be able to tell everything about your dreams and aspirations, and then your career progression and where you want to be. And boom, that 2 minutes that takes for employers or potential employers to hire you, you've satisfied that. Master your elevator speech. I'm also going to give you another example of a lady who wants to do nursing. And her elevator speech is this: "I'm currently a junior at Highland High School and would like to continue my education after I graduate at Viterbo University studying nursing. I always knew I enjoyed taking care of people. I've been babysitting since I was 10 years. Until I complete my schooling, I would like the chance to continue learning skills that will help me work with different people and improve my communication skills." Period. So ladies and gentlemen, I've given you 2 examples of elevator speech. You need these. You need to master elevator speech before you can get that dream job. Let's go to some of the preparations. I've already said that you need to study the job description, because the job description is what they are looking for, the competencies they are looking for. And you are going to convince them that you meet those competencies. There's also going to be behavioral interviews. They want to test your behavior, and you should be ready to do that. The power of story. I love to see, people who tell stories when they're interviewing for a job. Stories are such that you cannot forget. In fact, in my entire life of teaching as a professor, one thing that I've noticed is that there's so much power in stories. In stories, you never forget. You pick just a piece of the story, and then you can bring the rest of it to remember even after the next 3, 4, 5 years. So use the power of stories, personal stories. Bring your humanity to the interview. Let them know you are human. You've gone through challenges, but you are committed to what you're going to do. So use the power of story, use illustrations, and then use analogies. These are very important to get a kind of job you are going to look for. You have to make sure that you practice your elevator speech for the kind of job you're looking for. Let's talk about some of the preparations. You have to be prepared to answer any question that they ask you. You have to indicate your level of interest in that job. And the general rule is that you have to ask about 2 to 4 questions. I've seen many people who come for interviews and then they will not ask a simple question. That's wrong. Once they finish interviewing with their questions, you also have to ask some questions. The minimum should be 2, and then the maximum should be 4. That is very important. Don't forget about that. And then you have to make sure that your questions are relevant to what they're asking you to accomplish. So some of the questions you need to ask them is what I'm going to give you. Don't forget them. What would you like to see accomplished in this position in the next 3 to 6 months? It's a good question. Another question could be, how do you measure success in this position? You can also ask them, if I'm selected, what would be my 2 to 3 highest priorities in the next near future? Or what would you identify as characteristics of a top performer in this position? These are some of the questions that you can ask them. The caveat here is that don't ask them about salaries, benefits, and time off. It's a no-no. If you do that, you are rushing the process. You have to wait until you have been given an offer before you can ask about salaries, benefits, and time off. So don't ask these questions at this time when you are interviewing for the job. The other thing is that you also need to talk about jobs you've done in the past, because for some good reasons, most interviewers or potential employers think that your past experiences are going to help them to, to decipher whether you can be able to do this job. So they think your past experiences are linked with your new performances. And that is why we talk about professional references is important here. One thing I also want to tell you that never use somebody as a reference when you have not talked to that person. I observed a situation where somebody was nearly hired, and then we called the 3 professional references. One person said that, do you know John? He said, John, I don't know. Well, if somebody you have selected as your professional reference cannot give a good account of you, then we have a problem. So make sure that you've talked to people who are your professional references, and then you know that they are going to speak to your character. It is very important. You can talk to your former supervisors, your former professors, or elite team leaders who can speak to your character. It is very important because their words endorses your competency, which helps you to get a kind of dream job you are looking for. Then let's talk about your wardrobe. Thank you those who have contributed. I have done 32 minutes. I'm going to try to do this under 1 hour. So make sure you share with people who are looking for their dream job, because this is very important for them. Let's talk about your wardrobe or your grooming, which is very important. Because you never get a second chance, you need to impress them with your first experiences or your first appearance. The simple truth is that appearance matters. I have talked about this and I cannot repeat it more, that your appearance is very important when you're looking for your dream job. Know the corporate culture is part of the research process. You have to know the culture of that organization and how they do things there. And you have to make sure that you dress above, a step above what is required of that job. That is the rule of thumb. So if assistant directors dress this way, dress a step above that so that they will know you are there for the kind of job you're looking for. The other thing is that be very careful or mindful about your breath. I want to explain this. It's very important looking for a dream job. Your breath. Make sure that you chew some gum or you have some mint. I know some people who go for interview and then their breath smell like ungawa. I don't know what ungawa means. It just came to my mind. But you need to make sure that your breath smells good when you go for interview. It's all part of the grooming process that we look for when we are hiring. And then be careful of the cologne or perfume that you use. It should not be that kind of strong perfume when you're going for interviews. It puts many people off. And remember, most people are also allergic to some perfume and cologne. So be very moderate in the way you put some cologne and then perfumes. Lotions are also part of it. Don't take strong ones. And then aftershave, use them sparingly. Review how you look both sitting and standing. Practice that, how you sit and then how you stand when you are interviewing. You need to be very alert and enthusiastic. Let me talk about women's wardrobe. If you're a woman and you're looking for your dream job, some of the things that we're looking for, you need 2-piece suits. As a woman, you need a 2-piece suit with skirt or pants or trousers or a dress that is recommended. We all know professional dresses for women. It should be solid blue, gray, or black is best with neutral, solid color blouse. You need a closed-toe shoes or pumps are best, and make certain that they are not scuffed and the heels are not damaged. You shouldn't bring any boots to interviews. And then upholstery should be neutral in color with no patterns. You have to also make sure that certain things, you carry some extra bag or extra things that you might need just in case. I'm talking about women, so women understand this. Your jewelry should not be chunky. You need some small jewelry that will match your dress, and that is fine. That will complement your outfit. Don't carry a briefcase and a purse at the same time. You should carry one. If a briefcase, one briefcase. If it's a purse, a purse. If you carry two, it means that you overloaded a lot of things, and that is a distraction for interviews. And then your hair should be clean and neatly styled. I know some people, when they put on their hair, some ladies, it covers one of their eyes. That is not appropriate for interview. Make sure that we can see both your eyes. Sometimes if we can see all your ears, that's beautiful. And your hair should be styled, neatly. And then light makeup. I know some people do a lot of makeup. That is not necessary when you're looking for your dream job. Light makeup is great for that. You have to be neatly manicured and then clean nails. Here, I want to talk about if you have some long nails with different colors, that is not appropriate for interview. Leave your style out there at the door. Go for corporate, what they're looking for. And after you get a job and at your home, you might be able to do whatever you want. Now, let me talk about men's wardrobe, what we're looking for men. You should also have a solid color suit, navy or gray color, blue or black. That is great. And a long sleeve shirt, white or solid color coordinated with suit. Coordinating with the tie and then the belt. I saw somebody come for interview and the person had a green tie. Well, that is not required for a dream job. If you going for corporate job and you have a tie that is green, I remember one of the panelists with me said that the green tie looked like a snake. And we made a good laugh about that. So make sure that you don't go to interview with uncoordinated tie. And then dark socks that coordinate with your suit. Leather shoe that is shining, nicely shined. It's going to help you. You should be very neat and professionally hairstyled. Those of you who have a lot of hair, make sure that it's styled very well. And you have to go conservative with the jewelry. We don't need chunky jewelries when you are coming for interview. Neatly trimmed, clean nails. Make sure that your nails are really trimmed and doing well. You need a portfolio, a briefcase, or a file. Each one of them is fine for your interview. Somebody will ask me, what about if I don't have suit? Yeah, that's fine. But you can dress with slacks or khakis and a nice shirt, and they are okay in most cases. It's business casual, and some organizations might accept it if you don't have a suit. And then other guidelines that I've stated already also apply. What not to wear for interview are jeans and t-shirts. It's a no-no. You can't do that for interviews. And then shorts. You can't use shorts. And casual sandals and tennis shoes can also not be used for your interviews. This is a big one here. You have to remove all facial piercings and cover tattoos. Those of you who have a lot of piercing on your tongue and on your lips and on your eyebrow and all those things, you need to remove them. And then you cover all tattoos for interview. When you finish and you get a job, you might go back to your style. But like I said earlier, please leave your style at the door when you go for interview. Now let's talk about the final phase of the preparation. You have to know where you're going for the interview. It's better for you to go there a day before or an evening before to know the location. It's very important so that you will not be late for the interview. It is horrible to be late for your interview. It means that other people will win the job. They're not going to give it to you. And like I said earlier, you have to be there 15 to 20 minutes earlier for that. So you go there and make sure you know the place and the time it's going to take you to get to the place so that you will not be late. And remember to take with you copies of your resume or your CV, your completed application online, your reference sheet, a copy of the job postings, direction to the destination, and then your writing notes or material or the research you've done for the company. When you are interviewing, make sure that you put all these documents on the side with the exception of your notes so that when they asking you questions, you can take some notes and then be able to answer them appropriately. What not to bring with you to the interview. You don't have to bring friends or family or children to the interview with you. Somebody will say, this is funny. Yes, but some people still do it. When they go in for interviews, they bring their family, friends, and children there. It's not going to help you win your dream job. You don't have to do that. Cell phones should be off. It is appalling to go for interview and then you have your cell phone on. I wanted to share something, an experience that I had with an interview I had in Africa, but I don't want to share. It was funny that one of the panelists interviewing had his phone on and then he had a call. And then in the midst of the interview, he started talking to somebody. And I thought that was very unprofessional. You don't have to do that. You also don't have to take any iPods or any electrical device with you. That is a no-no. No food, no drinks. Some organizations will give you water when you sit there for the interview. They will provide you water. If you are like me who drinks a lot, I drink a lot of water every day. So if you are like me, you ask them to provide you water before you start the interview. It helps. and be prepared for the unexpected. Sometimes some of the questions will hit you like a brick. They will ask you some questions that you were not expecting. Be very calm and be very enthusiastic when you answer questions. Be very polite and be very cordial to the receptionist. That is very important to me too. Most people go, they think that the receptionist is just sitting down there. That receptionist is part of the interview process. Sometimes we go to them and ask them their experience, what they had with you when you came in to sign. So be very polite and respect them. So let's start with the actual interview. You've prepared. Let's start with the actual interview. You've done your research. You know the job position thoroughly. You know what the requirements are. And then you might be nervous. Of course, it's normal to be nervous when you are going for interview because what you don't know could also be intimidating. You don't know the questions they're going to ask you. But now that you know how to prepare, how to dress, and how to master your elevator speech, and you know everything about the company, research about them, you should be confident enough to know that you're going to get this job. Let me talk to you a little bit about confidence. I've met a lot of people and they work with their chest down, and I know life can beat people up and it takes all their confidence away. But let me ask you this question. If you don't believe in yourself, do you expect me to believe in you? You need to believe in yourself, your capabilities. You've gone to school, you have all the qualifications. Why don't you believe in yourself? At least be bold for once and muster courage to tell them about yourself. That's all you're doing to connecting with the people who are interviewing you for this job, and you need to do that. You need to also familiarize yourself with different interviewing styles. And sometimes it's appropriate to ask those who are going to interview, what kind of interview styles are you going to conduct here so that you can prepare for that. Before I end this presentation, I'm going to tell you some of the interviewing styles that we have there so that you know what they entails. So the first few minutes, as I've always stated, is crucial for the interview. And studies have shown that the overall impression they get about any candidate is 2 minutes. I cannot emphasize this enough. You have 2 minutes to justify yourself for your dream job. And you need to impress them with your elevator speech. The first 2 minutes, you need to wow them. You need to blow their mind off. First 2 minutes, master your elevator speech. And that 2 minutes is like chapter 1 of a dissertation. It summarizes everything of what you're going to do. And once they have been able to blown away with that summary, the rest is going to be a mere conversation. Very important. So I've said you introduce yourself, firm handshake, you smile, and then you tell them who you are. Be very polite. And then those who are there, you need to address them officially like sir, yes sir, no sir, mom, Mr., Mrs., doctor, professor. Use their formal titles. It's very important at meetings like this when you are interviewing for a dream job. And unless they ask you to do otherwise, in America, we'll ask you to go for our first name. My name is Enoch. My name is John. My name is Ted. Because here we are very formal. We don't care about titles. But in other places in Europe and in Africa, people care a lot about their titles and they want you to call them professor or doctor, and all those things. Well, people are people, and you do what they want for them because you need this job to take care of your family. Let me quickly talk about body language. Body language. You need to stand tall or sit tall. As you can see, once you stand there, you need to close the top bottom of your suit. Very important. You leave the down one open. Now, when you sit, you open it, and then you sit confidently to make ready to talk to them. Make sure that when you are sitting, your back is straight, so that your chest is puffed out. I'm not talking about negative aggression because that could also make you lose your job. Be confident, but don't be arrogant. Very important for you to get a kind of job you're looking for. And then place all materials on the side besides the notepad that you're going to take some notes. You don't need to be looking straight into your resume or your CV and all the other documents. No, because you have mastered it already. You know the job specification. All you need is to be taking notes and then answering questions. You also have to nod when you need to demonstrate that you understand what they are doing, but don't stare at people's faces. It scares some people. Keep nodding that means you are acknowledging that you have interest in the question they are asking, and then you are following the lines. You also have to remain calm. Don't fidget. And then be careful not to speak too quickly. Take your time to speak the words that you speak. I'm somebody who is a very fast speaker. And anytime I'm doing presentations like this, I take my time to speak, because if I am giving a speech and I'm not looking at anything, I don't like giving speeches with written notes. I speak very fast. But when I'm doing presentation like this, I take my time to speak to my audience, because that is important. Communications are supposed to be decoded. So I'm encoding an information and I expect you to decode it. I don't want any noise in the middle based on how fast somebody speaks. So you need to be careful about that. And then respond to questions appropriately. I know some people, when you ask them questions during interviews, they'll go round and round and round in cycles, just answering a simple question. I've given the thumb of rule. Don't go beyond 2 minutes in responding to a question when you go for interview. If you go beyond 2 minutes, that means you don't know what you're talking about. Be very warm and conversational, and don't ramble, and always keep smiling, because that is going to charm them to hire you. So let's look at some of the difficult questions that they might ask you. Can you tell me about yourself? Then you use your elevator speech. Don't forget this. Anytime they ask you to tell about yourself, use the elevator speech. It is very important. What are your goals? What are your strengths? What are your experiences in other places? What are your salary expectations? I have seen this a lot. When you ask them, what are your salary expectations, they go, wild. Don't let the money trick you. Don't go for salary expectation. Tell them that it is negotiable and you are there as your calling to contribute to the team. It's not about money that you are working. Of course, they're going to pay you. So don't be so rational about the money. Let's quickly talk about types of interviews. I have about 13 minutes to finish this because it's 47 minutes in my talk. Types of interviews. We have the screening interviews, and we use this as a screening tool to ensure that candidates meet the required or the minimum qualification. So it could take the form of telephone interviews, computer interviews, or video conferences. These are just the screening interview. We are screening for the right candidates. And then we have one-on-one interviews, which is the traditional interview we all go for, the one-on-one. Then we have the serial or sequential interviews. Here, candidates are passed from one interviewer to another for the interview. I have done this many times as a professor. Let me share my experience with you. In America, if you interview as a professor, you start the interviewing from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 12 solid hours of interview. 12 solid hours of interview, and then you meet with the dean, the search committee. They will interview you. You meet students. You will teach students who are going to evaluate you. Then you are going to meet all the faculty. Everybody's going to ask you questions. I'll talk about meal interview. They will take you to lunch, and during the lunch, whilst you are eating, they are still interviewing you. You come back to meet the same team again. You go and meet the president of the university. You meet the vice president of academics. You meet everybody that matters in the decision process. And when they finish, they are all going to sit down and then tabulate the scores of the finalists and tell whoever won. So it's a very competitive process. And that is what we call the serial or the sequential interview. Then we have the panel interview. You appear before a committee or a panel to interview. Most of you are conversant with that. We also have the group interview, where interviews are conducted simultaneously with other candidates for the same position. We also have audition interview. Those of you who do movies, you go and do auditions, and then you know what I'm talking about. Candidates are put through what we call the simulation exercise or skills evaluation for audition interviews. We also have stress interviews. I've done some stress interviews. It's very stressful. We put you in a very stressful situation to see how you are going to handle stressful situations in the future. I've already talked about mealtime interviews, where you are eating and then they are asking you questions. I enjoyed that one. Eating and being asked questions means that you are relaxed and then they can ask you any question. Then we have the follow-up interview, where they're going to call people back again, especially when there's a tie of the candidates. They're going to call 2 or 3 people back again to do a second session of interview. Then the bigger one now is what we call the behavioral interviews. And companies are increasingly using this one, behavioral interview, because we want to know their behavior. I have talked to a couple of CEOs who say that if you hire a jerk and you make that jerk as your team lead or one of your managers, you are doomed for life. Behavior is everything in an organization. Your academic qualification can give you a job, but if your behavior sucks, you're going to lose that job. Attitude is everything. Attitude is everything. And you need to put on a good behavior when you are working. So let's look at some of the behavioral questions that they will ask you. It's just a systematic process that ensures that a fair selection is done for candidates. We are testing your behavior. And here we have personality tests, we have aptitude tests, we have interest inventories. All these behavioral tests are supposed to test your behavior towards some situation. So we give you statements. There's no right or wrong answers. You are just supposed to state whether it strongly describes you or it doesn't describe you. And then we're going to use that to see your attitude towards situation. It is very important for us. So in doing that, we also are looking for a couple of things. Your technical and professional skills and knowledge. We're also looking for your general skills of behavior, judgment, and then delegation issues. We're also looking for your personal style, how you are adaptable to situations as a team player, and then your motivations. What keeps you going, the learnings you have, and how independent you are. We need to know all these. In answering some of these behavioral questions, be sure to include some of this information. You need to give a specific situation, list the task or objective that needed to be done, and then the action you took in solving that problem, and then the results, what happened. So any behavioral question we ask you, be very specific about the situation, you list the task or the objective that needed to be done, the action that you took, and then the results or what happened. These are the things that we are looking for. So let's see one of the behavioral questions. Describe a time when two of the members of your team did not work well together. What did you do to get them to work together? This is a behavioral question. We want to know your behavior towards an issue like this. We can also ask you, give me an example of a project that best describes your organizational skills. Here, you are going to be detailed. You give a specific situation, you list the task or the objective that you wanted to accomplish, the action you took, and then the results that came out of it. These are the things that we are looking for. So the acronym for behavioral questions is STAR, S-T-A-R. The S is specific situation. The T is the task or objective. The A is the action, and then the R is the results. STAR, specific, task, action, and then the results. All behavioral questions, this is the acronym you have to use in answering them. Now, I'm going to end very soon with the factors that we are looking for when employers hire you. The first thing that they look for is your education as it relates to the position. Do your educational qualification fit for the job? That is number one. And then your cognitive abilities, your judgment, your logic, your thought process. We also look for that. And then your manner and personality traits, social poise, your sense of humor, your mannerism, your self-confidence, and then your listening skills. I know some people who come for interview, you are asking them questions, they will not let you land and they begin to speak. No. Take your time, you listen more than you speak during interviews. And then your appearance is very important. Your grooming, your dress, your hygiene, and then your health. Very important. Your attitude is also being looked at. How enthusiastic you are, your outlook, your willingness to work hard, ability to accept criticisms, and interaction with work environment, and then the people. How you interact with them during the short time of the interview. Then your level of motivation. Initiative, energetic, ambitious, goal-oriented, accomplishment, and then your achievements. We want to know that. Of course, your leadership qualities, we are looking for how mature you are and how responsible, and even how you take criticism and how stable you are during the interview. And then your interest in the position and in the company. Some people come for interview and you can see from their posture that they are just looking for any job. They don't show high interest. You need to show how much interest you have in that job so that when we're hiring you, we know that you are not coming here as a stepping stone and then you quit, but you are here for the long haul. Those are the kind of people we are looking for. And that gives us an overall impression of you so that we can hire you. I'm going to end with the post-interview. After you've done the interview, that is not the end. We have what we call the post-interview follow-up. Thank you notes. You need to send a thank you note to those who interview you that I really appreciate that. And whatever the result of the interview, you need to follow with a thank you note. It could be an email, it could be a card or anything. I've received many of them from people that I've interviewed. Sometimes they will not respond to it. That is fine. They have so seen it. And it shows that you have interest, you still have interest. And in the thank you notes, make sure that you don't have any spelling errors. You need to check. It's very important because It's still part of the job process. And then it should be completed within 2 to 3 days after your interview. You send a thank you note. Some people send it the same day. No, wait 2 days or so to send a thank you note. It's very important there. And then if you have decided that the position is not a fit for you, you still have to send them thank you notes. Some people follow up with asking them that, have you made a decision? And the general rule is that wait for about 5 business days, because you are not the only person they interview. And sometimes the next day somebody will send an email or call that, have you made a decision yet? No, it means you are rushing them. It takes about 5 business days or a week. And then you can send an email that you still have interest in the job. You can, so there are some things that you could not talk about during the interview. Bring those things up that I learned ABC during the interview. And I think that when I'm hired, it's going to help me to learn more and do a good job for this organization. Now, when you finish with all this, we call something self-evaluation. After your dream job interview, you might or you might not get a job, but you know what to do now. So you have to do a self-evaluation. You identify what went on well and what did not go on well during the interview. You identify what you're going to do better during the next interview. And let me tell you this, if you are not hired for the job, don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's not about you. There are many organizations out there that does not deserve your talent. And there are others there that are hoping to get your talent. So don't take it personally if you don't have the job. And then what now? I have taught you how to interview for a job. I've taught you how to groom yourself for a job. I've taught you the preparation during the interview and then post-interview follow-up. And I know that with this, don't forget your elevator speech. You will get a kind of dream job that you are looking for. Friends, this is what I wanted to share with you on this beautiful Sunday morning. I hope it's going to help many people. Share with friends and families and people who are heading and still looking for a job. And I know that God will bless us all. Thank you and have a beautiful evening.